First the pale tree, now this.
$10. Like, that's actually very, very low administrative costs. So it's like, it would make sense to me if they were trying to scam that they would have raised those administrative costs tremendously. No, it's a lot. No, it's not. It's very low for a charity. You can actually look this up. There's the information. Charity money that goes to administration costs. I'm just going to look, and there's like a lot of research about this. Discover what percentage goes into your charity. So like, let's see if I can scroll down here. 98 cents. These are some of the best ones, right? And they're like 85. St. Jude's, like, it's a better ratio than St. Jude's. Nature Conservatory, better ratio than Nature Conservatory. It's a tremendous success, and like, that's what's so weird about this story that I've been seeing, is that, like, if they were trying to embezzle money and trying to like funnel money out of the charity to themselves, they could have doubled their administrative costs and nobody would have batted an eye. Nobody would think anything of it, because that's still within like the reasonable amount. And that's what's so confusing to me about this, is that there isn't, like, it just doesn't seem like just a normal scam.
In these filings, a non-profit is supposed to state where their profit goes. Obviously, if a charity raises money, they are supposed to give it to an organization.
Naturally.
However, this has never happened with the Open Hand Foundation. In 10 years of filings, they have not dispersed a single dollar to anyone. They have kept everything for themselves. This is obviously alarming. Their website clearly states they support the UCSF. And they have a quote from David Kessler, the dean of the UCSF School of Medicine, thanking them for their gift. But the interesting thing about David Kessler is that he was fired as the dean of the UCSF School of Medicine in 2007, 7 years before OpenHand was even officially registered.
What?
I needed to find out what was happening, so I contacted OpenHand and asked them why they haven't made any contributions in the past 10 years. And this is the response I got, which was written by Jacques Khalil. Gerard's
all right, they got a response. Let's see what this is.
They claim that before their official registration as a foundation, they donated body parts for research. A strange claim that I don't believe can be true of a charity. That's likely referring...
Prior to our official registration as a foundation, we donated body parts for research and made financial contributions to an institution that, in our view, made sufficient progress in the fight against these debilitating... No, I actually believe this, because the odds are that the mother that passed away, because obviously it was made before then, could have, elected to have her body given to science in some capacity or another. I think this logically makes sense, right? Yeah, the mother's brain or something like that. This is, because she passed from dementia. So I actually think this could make sense based off of that, because they said that they didn't register it as a charity until after she had passed away. So this logically would be what it is. So I actually believe the body parts component very well, but I don't think that this is any sort of an extension or any, like, this was a personal decision that was made by her and her family. This didn't really have this doesn't have anything to do with like a business, right? Or like a charity, an entity, or anything like that. But yeah, I do believe that's the case, and a lot of people do that. A lot of people like donate their body to science, or different parts of their body to science, if they have a disease that's problematic.
Into a private and personal matter within their family, and would have nothing to do with OpenHand. They claim they made financial contributions to an institution that made insufficient progress. Essentially, OpenHand is claiming that because they made donations before they were registered in 2014, which we cannot confirm because it wasn't public at the time, this means that it is acceptable to not pass along any of the money the public has given them until they find someone they deem worthy. The obvious question arises: if they have been looking for a beneficiary since 2014, why has Gerard been claiming they support organizations across the world, including the UCSF and the Alzheimer's Association?
That's the thing, is like, if he was just saying we're waiting for a place to donate the money to because we don't know where to donate it to, it's like that's kind of like a lot more plausible and reasonable if he just says that than if he goes and he says, yeah, this is something that, like, we're donating this money to these people, but then the people aren't donating the money or aren't getting the money. Like, it's one thing that you're saying you're raising the money for something, and it's another thing to say that you're giving the money to these people. Like, that's a specific thing to say, and it doesn't happen.
Raising money for dementia research in honor of my late mom, trying to help folks who've been impacted by dementia, working with organizations like USF, FTD Association of America, Alzheimer's Association of America, and so many more.
Why is he claiming the money is actually given to people who know how to use it?
And all that money goes to dementia research. We don't touch any of it. We just work with the people who do need the money, and we help them do their thing.
Why is he claiming they are helping the victims and even the families of people with dementia?
Guys, welcome to Indieland. For those of you who don't know what we're doing, we're raising money for dementia research and prevention, helping victims who not only have dementia, but the families of those around them.
Why is OpenHand still claiming it supports the UCSF on its website? OpenHand assured me they have done nothing illegal, because if they had, they would have been caught by the IRS. However, I never mentioned...
Should there be any irregularities or misuse of funds, agencies such as the Department of Justice would intervene. And that's the thing, is like, I actually believe this part. Is that they're filing, like, again, if they're trying to embezzle money, like, they could have doubled, probably tripled their administrative costs, and nobody would even say anything about it. Because that's, like, a 30% administrative cost for a charity is, like, it's not great, but it's not awful. Like, it's really not. There are tons of charities that, like, over half the money go towards administration. And some people say they're scams, but a lot of people just keep donating to them.
The legality in my original email. I'm not sure why they brought up the IRS, but this assumes the IRS is some kind of omnipresent being that immediately detects fraud the moment it happens and intervenes. This notion is simply untrue. Many crimes, especially fraud, go undetected, and unless you do something especially egregious on your filings, nothing will be flagged to the IRS. In saying that, however, these filings don't seem to be done properly, and they aren't even signed, which is definitely a legal requirement.
I mean, these were obviously prepared by a CPA. It's an electronic signature. Yeah, like, I e-sign all of my tax documents. So I don't know. Yeah, it's an e-signature. That's what I do too, right? Like, because I file my taxes, I mean, the people that I work with do everything. And then I pay them money. And then they send me a thing, and then I fill it out. And I just click a button and I pay a lot of money. And so that's it. So I don't even know if this would be on there. I don't know if the e-signature from a tax document that's signed electronically would be on the publicly available documents. I'm actually not sure about that, because it would make sense that actually it wouldn't be. Because the e-signatures that are done and they're not actually your signature. It's just your name in cursive. So, I don't think this is that suspicious yet. It's usually not on public records. Yeah. It doesn't show up. Yeah, I don't know that, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't.
Don't seem to be done properly, and they aren't even signed, which is...
Yeah, if they didn't sign these documents, they would instantly get audited. This clearly just isn't unsigned. Yeah, I feel like... Yeah, if you put something in and it wasn't signed, yeah, I bet they'd be immediately on your ass.
definitely a legal requirement. But now that they brought it up, if the filings do show an accurate account of what happened, I do think this is illegal and would be considered charity fraud. Generally, taking money by dishonest means is considered fraud. You just can't tell people to give you money under a false pretense. And you can't wait 10 years until you're caught before doing something with it either. In this case, OpenHand lied for many years saying that it was funding organizations it wasn't, and it was using those lies in order to get money from the public. OpenHand finishes by saying they continue to search for a partnership that meets their standards, and if I have any recommendations, they will consider it. I don't know why they are asking me for my input. OpenHand has already been lying for 10 years, saying that it's been going to the UCSF, the Alzheimer's Association, and other organizations across the world. Why not?
I think they should explain why it's not going to those people. Because, like, it's easy for them to say, oh, well, you know, we're waiting for something that's worthy of this money, but why is this not worthy of the money?
Not send it there. OpenHand has had 10 years to find somewhere to send the money to, and I'm sure there are plenty of acceptable organizations that would gladly welcome its contribution.
Sure.
Truthfully, I just don't buy their explanation. If they really were looking for someone to give it to, they would have been honest about that to the public. They wouldn't have lied and said they were giving it to someone they weren't.
Yeah, I find that to be very misleading and weird that they said that they were gonna give the money away. They said they even gave charity names. And then, like, this doesn't happen? That seems extremely sus.
They're still doing fundraisers when they admit here, if you choose to believe them, they have no idea where that money will go. Why do they not ask the public where to send the money? It is their money, after all. People have been donating their hard-earned money for 10 years. They all believe their money is going to a good cause. People have been championing Indieland for years, declaring they are fighting dementia. Gaming developers, YouTube influencers, celebrities have all donated their time, money, and effort to this event, thinking it was doing something when it just wasn't. Sponsors have invested money and equipment into a charity that did nothing with the money. I responded to OpenHand hoping to get clarification on a few details, and asking if they thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, that's a great question. Why do you have UCSF listed as a benefactor on the website if OpenHand does not contribute to them? I feel like that's a pretty simple question. Like that, like, what is this?
To continue to ask for money when they aren't contributing any of it. They reiterated they believe their behavior was legal and ethical. Apparently me taking issue with the fact they've lied for years and kept all of the money they have ever received is both unwarranted and unfounded.
Legal and ethical standards, implication to the contrary is baseless. I don't think they're being ethical. I don't. Now, there is like a large spectrum of fraud, and I find this not to be on the extremely bad spectrum because the money hasn't been misused. Like, it's one thing to like take people's money and just not give it away, but it's another thing to take people's money and then spend it on something else. So if they haven't spent the money, like, I'm not ready to say like, okay, let's go burn the witch, right? But this is really bad. This is like one step away from that. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely really bad. All I'm saying is I'm putting into perspective, like, I think this is like an 8 or a 9 and not a 10. That's it. And also, like, it is unethical. Here's why. Because you said you're going to donate the money to these charities. You connected yourself to these charities and these groups, and then the money didn't go there. Like, it's really not that complicated, is it? I don't really think it is. I don't think they've proven it hasn't been misused yet. Tax documents don't prove the money. The account has the money, does it? I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it and see. It's 10 years of research money that could have been done and spent. Guys, you are absolutely right that it's bad. The only thing that I'm saying is that it could be worse, and the way that it's not worse is confusing to me. That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's very confusing to me that this is happening, and I feel like there's a piece of this puzzle that we don't fully have. And the piece of the puzzle could be that the guy running it had some sort of like weird problem, and like, you know, his mom dying, and it was like some like weird fucked up thing in his head. Like, and none of this excuses it. But, like, I'm just looking for a reason. Like, there's something that could have, like, how does this make any sense?
Clearly, from these statements, Openhand feels as though this is acceptable behavior from a
10
charity.
years, yeah.
They closed by saying they do not intend to issue further public comments on these matters, confirming that from Openhand's perspective, this isn't an issue worthy of their time or comment. The last thing I needed to do was to talk to Gerard and get his side of the story. And with the help of Muta from Some Ordinary Gamers, we set up a call. According to Gerard, he didn't find out the funds had not been forwarded to any organizations until 2022, and claims that since that time, he has been actively trying to find somewhere to send the money.
I think he's lying. I do. I think that's no, he's lying. Because 2022 was at least 11 months ago. Like, I don't think that's the case. I mean, like, streamers do charity donations all the time about this. Like, no, this is weird. Like, how does it take, like, what are you waiting for? Like, dude, this is so weird. It's 11 months to 10 years? No, what I'm saying is that he said he just found out about it in 2022. So in the most generous estimation of time that would have been, it would have been 11 months. Assuming that he learned about it on December 31st, 2022, it still would have been 11 months. So this is so weird. And he kept making charities in 2023. Yeah. Just because their filings say there's money doesn't mean that there is money still there. They stole it and they didn't report it. Wow. That's a big accusation. I don't know about that. I think that's insane if they did that. That is insane.
You weren't notified that the money was sitting there the whole time?
I knew it was sitting there at a certain point, and that's what made me proactively go about it. Like, I was made aware in 2021 with the
No, I think he's lying because he just used two words that I don't like. I didn't like the fact that he used the word proactively, and I didn't like the fact that he used the word at some point. I think these are intentional words used to obfuscate what the truth is and what's really happening. Listen, guys. Here's a little bit of advice, all right? If you ever do any sort of business and you're doing something that you can't enforce legally, right? You're dealing with somebody from another country, you're buying or selling something that is illegal, you're doing something on the black market, etc. The moment that there is even a slight mishap, immediately call off the whole deal. Because a person acting in good faith would have never let that happen. And especially, they would have never let you find out first. Like, if somebody's late or they bring their friend or something like that, they would have asked you ahead of time and said, hey, I'm going to bring my friend. Is that okay? People always operate above the board. Yeah, we'll disclose it. Yes, exactly. Why would a person on a black market act in good faith? Trust and integrity is more important on the black market than it is normally, because you have no external enforcement mechanism other than you like trying to like have revenge. That's why. So you have to have a reputation and like a certain level of trust, because if you don't have that, people don't have a recourse to recouping their money. Like, if you scam them, they can't go to the police. If you scam them, you sell them something that isn't what they bought, well, they can't do anything about that. Shit gets you shot? Well, it does, but it doesn't until it does, right? And, like, usually the people that are scammers and shit like that and that do this stuff, they fucked over dozens of people before they get theirs. And also, many times they never get in trouble and nothing ever happens.
The money hadn't moved yet, and that's what made me go, that's not fucking cool. And that's when I got personally involved to move it.
That's not cool.
Did anyone...
2021, last year, 2022.
Yeah, did anyone tell you...
Wait, what?
And...
Did anyone...
2021, last year, 2022.
Yeah, did anyone tell you that the money was going somewhere before then? Were you being misled?
No. No one told me anything. I was...
I'm Steven Singer, the I Hate Steven Singer guy. Roses are a nice gift, but they end up in the trash a week later. I have the perfect gift. My famous 24-karat gold dip roses that last a lifetime. See for yourself at IHateStevenSinger.com.
So the 8 Sleep is a pod cover that fits on a mattress like a fitted sheet, but it's temperature controlled, so it can heat and cool each side of the bed independently. I wouldn't say it replaced the need.
I assumed that it was all going to a charity, and I assumed incorrectly.
Whether or not you believe this will be up to you. However,
I just think he needs to donate the money. Just find a fucking charity, donate the money. Like, I don't know. Like, just fucking stop this shit. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think you should. Like, I mean, should he go to jail? Like, if he committed a crime, yeah, of course you should go to jail. But like, I don't know. I mean, like, this is so weird and stupid. Just donate the fucking money and move on. It's so weird. He's too high up to not know. It's irresponsible for him to not know. You're right. You're absolutely right. And he said he wasn't told. Nobody told me. It's, again, you know, like, language. I think that usually the words that people use to make you think one thing are actually more useful in realizing what their real goals are than often the other words they use to explain what they really think. Like, certain words that people use, to me, immediately tell me that they're a liar. It's neglect at best? Oh, at best.
We'll note that even if he is telling the truth, despite learning this in 2022, his behavior did not change. In 2023, he continued to make claims that Openhand was supporting the UCSF, the Alzheimer's Association, AFTD, and many more, a year after learning that it wasn't.
Trying to help folks who've been impacted by dementia, working with organizations like USF, FTD Association of America, Alzheimer's Association of America, and so many more.
These statements were from just several weeks ago. Gerard has also been a director of Openhand since 2014, so it would take a lot to convince me he didn't know what was happening with the money he was raising.
Well, I also think that, let's say he didn't know what was happening. I still think that it's grossly irresponsible for him to be running something and not even know what's happening with the money at all, while simultaneously advertising it publicly to millions of people. Like, there's a certain level, like, listen, everybody makes mistakes. Oversights always happen. There are elements of mismanagement that happen all the time, and I think everybody can understand that. But, like, starting a charity and then not donating the money to what the charity is for almost 10 years, that's a really big mistake. That's a big fuck up. That's a big one, guys. Come on.
Ask yourself this question. If you raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for charity, do you think you would be interested in where that money was going?
Yeah.
Would you at least check to see if the money was being sent? No matter the answer, you would still be completely responsible for what happened with that money. The most important question at this time is whether or not the money is still there. And Gerard assures us they still have the full amount of money and are looking to donate it as soon as possible. At this stage, we have no reason to believe this isn't the case. However, due to Openhand's part...
No reason to believe this isn't the case. I mean, we also have no reason to believe it is. Like, I mean, that's really the truth. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck is this?
Dishonesty, I think we do need concrete proof of this donation when it happened.
For sure.
Unfortunately, given that the money hadn't been contributed for so many years, and any contribution done now is in the wake of this being uncovered, it's hard to know if this is simply a response to being caught, or if they truly were planning on donating the money at some point. Hopefully we get confirmation soon that all of the money Openhand has ever received is sent to the organizations it was supposed to. That being...
I think that, yeah, that's what I think that he should just donate the money. This is what I would do if I was him. I think this is the smartest thing. This is the best thing to do. I think he should just donate the full amount, you know, tack on, like, you know, 30 grand, 50 grand. Like, you guys can afford it. You figure it out. You know, for like inflation, etc. Just for sitting on a pile of money like Smog for the last 10 years. For like inflation, just like put in that money, donate the money, shut down your charity. And if you still want to raise money for a charity, do what I did. Like, I raise money for Ukraine. I raise money for Games for Love. And all of that money went directly to those charities. And you can work with different partners that like Hassan did this recently too. he raised money for what do you call it? For displaced Palestinians. I think he also raised money for Ukraine as well. And guess what happens for Gaza? Yeah. And so he raised over $1 million, and all the Turkish earthquake. Yeah, I forgot about that one too. And all of that money that he raised, Hassan never touched that money. Like, there was never a point where, like, oh, Hassan's gonna take this money and buy another $3 million house. Oh man, I hate socialists. No, that's not what happened, right? Do we know that? Yeah, we do, because you can just look into the situation yourself. And absolutely. And so anyway, and yeah, he didn't hand count the money and, you know, hand it to each displaced Palestinian. And so what happened there is that he put in that money, he donated that money directly to a charity. The personal money that he donated, right? But everything else went directly to the charity. He just simply facilitated and gave them the link on where to donate. Like, that's it. And like, I've done the same thing. And a lot of other people have too. So like, if he still wants to raise money, I think his credibility for being able to run a charity himself is completely shot. Because if you look at it, so look at it from the best possible outcome, okay? This is my most generous outcome. The most generous outcome that I can give this is that he did this because he is so grossly incompetent and negligent at his job that he let the money sit there for 9 years. Like, it is gross negligence at best. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, well, it doesn't, but like, I'm just saying, like, I would never trust this dude to give him money. Like, that's ultimately what it comes down to. Like, after what happened, I would not donate money to his charity. You can hate Hassan's politics, that denying the fact he donated money is insecure loser behavior. As it's not about Hassan, I'm just using him as an example. Like, I know obviously I say Hassan, and so you have to like, it's like a fucking Pavlovian dog response. I have to say the thing now. Like, it's not got nothing to do with the point. Like, it is literally, I'm just using him as an example of a person who used a charity that everybody knows about. Like, stop it, you fucking animals. Jesus Christ. It's so weird, man. People are trained, man. They're trained like little animals. Anyway, I'm going completely off the fucking subject. The money should go directly to the charity if he wants to raise more money for Alzheimer's and what's the other one? Dementia.
Said, even if all of the money is still there, the actions of Openhand were unethical and almost certainly illegal. And as unfortunate as this situation is,
it's illegal. Oh, it's illegal? Yeah, so was everything else. Like, CryptoZoo was illegal. Every other scam NFT thing and crypto thing was illegal. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing's ever going to happen with this. Like, there's never going to be, like, a resolution. Nobody's going to go to jail. Nobody's going to get in trouble. There's going to be no repercussions. Let's just move past that. Just donate the fucking money, get rid of your charity, and just work with other charities that actually know how to deal with the money.
It does need to be called out, and there do need to be repercussions.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't need to be stated that lying about making charitable contributions in order to get money is not a good thing,
yeah, it's
no
bad.
matter what the context. I also think there needs to be a full audit of Openhand by an independent third party. Some Ordinary Gamers is also doing a more thorough breakdown of the situation, so if you want to learn more about how to look up the public filings of non-profits and what to look for, and to learn more about their legal obligations, I will put a link to that in the description. I will also put a link to the tax filings of Openhand along with their full statements. Please don't let this dissuade you from donating to a good cause in the future.
Yeah,
there are plenty of legitimate online fundraisers that support long-established reputable charities, like Games Done Quick or Desert Bus for Hope. In any case, I do encourage more of you to learn to do your own research into charities, just to ensure you know where your money is going. Or alternatively, if you do want to donate, do it directly to the organizations you wish to support.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that last part is really important. And if you're looking to donate money to a charity, like let's say you're donating $50 to a charity, and let's say you make $25 an hour. Well, if the difference between donating it to a charity that uses 10% and 50% of the funds is like, what is that, like $30? You can figure out the best charity to donate to within probably 20 minutes by just looking it up. Because there are websites, and there are a number of websites like this that will provide you a massive amount of data that will give you an idea of like which charities are actually helpful and which ones are not helpful. No one's even talking about the interest he earns on $500,000 in 10 years, even in a shitty account. The money isn't reported on his tax form. The interest could be high or it could be low. It depends. Like, there's certain checking accounts that have like basically zero interest. There's savings accounts that have higher interest. There's like government bonds that have a mediocre level of interest. I don't know. Like, we cannot possibly figure that out. I think the bare minimum is just donate the money with a little bit on the top. If it's $20,000, $30,000 for inflation, fine. Just fucking donate it. Get rid of your charity. You obviously don't know how to run a charity. You've been scamming people. Are you... is this like a massive fucking horrible scam where you're taking people's money and spending it all? Maybe not, right? But like, the one thing that is certain after watching this person should never run a charity again. That's all there is to it. This is a great video. Let me link you guys a video. Carl Jobs does all... This is the guy, if I want to find out about what's going on with Billy Mitchell, I watch this channel. Arguably never has. Needs to go for jail for scamming. The money's gone for 10 years. Everybody always wants somebody to go to jail for something. And I'm not... It's the epitome of irresponsibility. Yes, I'm not interested in... you know, a witch trial here. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it, okay? Like, please, please, please do not misattribute what I'm saying. The point that I'm making here is that obviously this is very bad. Obviously he should explain it thoroughly. Obviously what he said so far is not sufficient. And it doesn't make anything better at all. Can you lie to the IRS? Yeah, but it's a really bad idea. Yeah, it is. It's a very bad idea. Like, you know, for example, if he lied about having the cash on hand, he would go to jail. Like, 100% he would go to jail. So, I think the IRS...
When it comes to burning fat and building muscle for a guy, the biggest mistake you can make is just eating healthy. Why? Because some of these so-called healthy foods right here can actually kill a guy's T levels, which is your #1 fat-burning, muscle-building hormone.
So according to studies, there's one food that can raise your overall testosterone levels by 52% and overall sexual health by 78%. Can you guess what it is? One of my buddies texted me the other...
I don't know. This is what I would do, right? It's like, if he didn't donate the money, I do hope the IRS audits them. Because, to be honest, it's actually a very simple audit for the IRS to do. They say, what's the bank account the money is in? They contact the bank. The bank sends them the information. And then they look at the account and the transactions on the account, whether the account's been used for personal reasons or not. This is actually the simplest audit you can ever do. What if he paid the taxes already? Well, it doesn't really matter if he paid the taxes or not, does it? I don't know really why that would have anything to do with it. I find it hard to feel outraged when every other politician has something to hide. I don't really care because the hypocrisy of the entire system just destroys my motivation to follow politics. Well, I don't think that's the right mindset to have. And, like, I'm not being, like, I'm not outraged. I don't want to, like, burn this guy to the... I'm not trying to... I just... This is my perspective. I think there's something that we don't understand about this that he's not telling us. And I'm not entirely ready to say and he's not doing it because he is a scammer? I don't know that. But what I do know is that something is wrong and he should not be in charge of the money. That's all there is to it. Maybe he has dementia too? Good. Then he should, well, not good, but then that's fine. Then put somebody else in charge and that's it. Yeah, he should have other people making a decision for him. Decision paralysis on where to spend the money. I understand decision paralysis. And if it took him a year to send the money, then I probably would be like, oh, you idiot. What are you doing? Right? But this is 9 years. 9 years. Like, what is this? This is insane. So is he a scam through a charity? And this seems like incompetence, not a charity scam? That's why I'm so confused. Is because I've heard of a lot of charity scams. I've looked into some of them. And this doesn't seem like a charity scam. But it fucking is. So what are you doing? It's like, at least if you're gonna scam people for charity, buy yourself a nice car with it. Don't just take the fucking money and do nothing. It's like you're getting all of the hate for scamming and you don't get any of the benefits. It's a literal lose-lose situation. You look like an asshole and you don't get to enjoy the money.
Here at Lyft, our goal has always been to get as many people as possible to experience the unique.
We're here to talk about spaceships, okay? That's pretty much it. If you have a
Well, welcome everybody. You know, I'm a little tabbed at the moment. I don't know why.
But yeah, it's IAE week, so we're gonna be talking a lot about that. 321 went live since we last talked. There's a lot of new ships, one incredibly unique, and there's some cool stuff going on in 322, I guess. So that's what we'll be touching on today. But I don't know. You want to start out with 321.1 since that was kind of I think that was the first thing that happened this week.
Pretty much, yeah. That as long as like the roadmap roundup, but I feel like it's a good one to start with.
Sure.
Because it finally went to live. I mean, we've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks about whether or not it was gonna work and be okay. It felt very rushed as we were going through PTU, but at least in my experience, I'm happy to say that it's been great in live, even during IAE for me at the very least. All my experiences. Have you felt the same? Like, how's performance been?
Performance has been okay. I haven't done any.
Yep.
So the only time that I've really jumped in since IAE started outside of checking out IAE was we did a mining operation yesterday, and there were 35 people. It was 33, I think.
Oh, wow.
All mining on Selen, and it was crazy. And we had 230Ks, but that could happen for any reason, right? So it's hard to blame that on the free fly. And, we recovered, went right back to it, and ended up with over 100 SCU of every tier 1 material and just a little bit of Quantanium. So I think we did pretty well, and it was a lot of fun. But in my experience, I would say it doesn't feel like your normal free fly. Unless you go to Microtech, and that could be the reason why, is that most people are around Microtech, so other places are a little bit more chill.
Possibly. I'm definitely getting like frame issues in New Babbage, but that's about it. Yeah. The biggest thing that was really surprising to me after the release, so the immediate first thing I did was check out like the FPS missions and see how the AI was doing. And up until the free fly, it was amazing, and I can't stop doing them. There are a couple of bugs that are a bit annoying, where like NPCs are spawning half in the ground, or in other locations. But there's a bunch of missions that hasn't stopped the fun. It's kind of just like some NPCs are a little weird, but there's still enough like gameplay and content happening that it doesn't matter. When the free fly came around, I was assuming that it was going to be like every Invictus and every IE has been for at least the last couple of years, where everything then starts to tank. I was on a server today for server FPS. I fully expected everything to be absolutely garbage. No. The AI were shooting me. They were reacting to me. They were flanking me. They were like, all the behaviors were working. So I don't know what the hell they did to the AI behaviors to get them to actually work in bad servers. But this might be my new. Well, it's almost every patch, but this might be my new favorite patch.
Feel that way. Yeah, every patch is obviously going to be the new favorite patch because the game's growing or whatever, right? But yeah, I think.
Yeah, I was really impressed.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what it's really come down to lately is that there are more things to do as well. So you have like your vehicle tractor beams you can check out. There's new missions now, and as the game grows, there's more things to check out. Were you doing the data heist missions, I'm assuming, or?
Yeah, data heist missions, as well as in 321.1, they brought back the rappel raids on the different Orison platforms.
Yeah.
And they work. Like, 99% of the time they work, or at least in my experience have worked. So it's been very fun to be able to do those as well, because it's, breaks up the monotony of like bunkers and stuff.
Yeah, I think you said it. I'm pretty sure it was you. You've been finding 30 FPS servers too, right? Like that's one experience I've not had.
I haven't in live yet.
Not in live. Okay, on the PTU you had, which is a little easier. I didn't even find any on the PTU. I just got kind of unlucky in that regard. Vehicle tractor beams are great. They're a great start. That's where I'm at with them. We talked plenty about them over the last couple weeks, so I don't think we need to hammer home on that too much. As I feel with every feature that comes in its first state, and this is impossible as the game grows without the teams growing, I need them to continue on with those features for them to. It's a good start, but it is not where it needs to be. I think one of the biggest highlights that I've mentioned a couple times today, but for the podcast I'll mention, is during our mining operation, the only tractor beam that you can replace, not remove, but replace mining bags with is the multi-tool. The rest of them don't bring up the green highlight, so you can do it. So you can't use ships to do it. You can't use the dedicated handheld tractor beam to do it. Although that thing sounds so awesome and it's super cool, it doesn't have all the functionality of the multi-tool. So they still have a little bit of work to do to bring it up. Like, the new really good tractor beams aren't even up to the standard of the current multi-tool tractor beam yet. So there's still a lot of work to do yet when it comes to that stuff, as well as just general like balance and things that it'll grow over time.
Yeah.
Other than that,
you touched on it a little bit, the data heist mission. Such an amazing, actually good, fun multi-crew mission. I have been absolutely loving it. We did one today. We did one of the really high-end ones where you've got to do 5 uploads. The fact, as you progress through like the different levels of them, the higher level ones, you don't get a marker telling you which server is down and where you're going to find the code. So you have to actively run around searching for it. You can have multiple servers go down at the same time, which means there's an actual element of stress in the mission, which just doesn't really exist anywhere else in the game, because there's not really like time constraints, or like there's never really that much of a threat of enemies coming to you. But because you've got to run around everywhere, if you get caught out at a point where an elevator has spawned a couple of enemies, like that like there's actual like big stressor moments. So I think they've done a fantastic job with that mission, to the point where I'll probably spam that for the next 3 months before I'll get bored.
Well, yeah, and they seem to have added quite a bit of rep in it as well, where the last mission is like 500K, and you definitely need people to do it and things like that. Did you see this? So this is from the 5-star. He makes like a YouTube video for every patch called like Shadow Patch Notes. There's a new hacking chip. Did you see this yet?
Yes.
I haven't seen it, so I'll bring it up on screen. I just got to press my buttons to get there, but there's a new hacking chip called the Funt.
Yeah, it's real fast.
Is it? Does it break a lot like the old ones used to? The really good ones used to break the hack quite a bit, even though they were fast?
It didn't seem to, but I only got a chance to use it like twice, so not 100% sure. But yeah, very, very quick, which was nice, because there's, they haven't talked to us much about hacking since it got like put on the back burner like 2 years ago at this stage, and so I don't know why they made font. Maybe it's an intermediary sort of thing of just like, hey, here, just have like the Tiger Claw is kind of cringe. Just have this one that you can use at all of the current hacking sites to get you through. Or similar to what CIG do with a lot of features, it could be a future-proofing thing. Like we may use that in a future thing. I don't know, but yeah, so I'm around.
Were you around for the old hacking chips where there used to be like 4 or 5 different ones? Did you come in around that time?
There was like 6 or so, and it was like yeah, like some would be slower but had less chance of breaking and so on.
But they were all like basically balanced. They were all the same.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't anything crazy, but this one feels powerful.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
It went really quick when we used it. We used it in the data heist mission because we couldn't find the access card.
Now, question: you found it on the loot table, right? Not in a shop or anything.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah,
I mean, that's all. That's if you're gonna have something that's gonna be like a little bit overpowered or better than something else, not being able to buy it for 5 credits in the store is usually a good way to go about it, right? So that's what I like to see personally. So that's neat. I like that. And yeah, I just wanted to point that out because I just saw it today and was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was an interesting little thing for it to pop up.
For sure, for sure. The only other thing that I want to talk about around 321.1 is maybe we save this for the roadmap stuff because it's sort of related. Let's use this leading into the roadmap stuff.
Okay.
Jake posts the roadmap every week, and Nebel, I think that's how you pronounce it, responded, "Hey, what's going on with replication layer?" And because we just went through Pyro preview, I'm 99% sure. No, maybe this was related to something else, but I had Proxys here who deals with the platform and stuff. And when we were talking about ePTU versus PTU, they were just using ePTU because PTU wasn't ready. It wasn't like this experimental. It wasn't telling us that it was experimental, things like that. Well, guess what? You know, the preview channel was just Pyro, so now they have to move into the preview channel for this next cycle. So I think that that's what's going on here. And it sounds like we're going to get a 321.2 at some point.
Yeah, most likely.
You know, obviously, given this, or at some point during the 321.1 cycle. So the preview channel is still planned during to happen before 322. So keep an eye out. It's gonna happen. We're excited for it, for sure. Because those 30Ks that we had during the mining op, it was basically like, imagine if that didn't happen, right? Because okay, I know you love mining. Check out this rock we found. I found a 75K mass, 30% Bexylite, 30 hold on, 30% Terranite. Yeah.
What was the rest?
It was
was it like a heavy
tiny bit of inert and titanium.
Yeah, titanium. Still though, Jesus.
Yeah.
That's it's a bit of a moneymaker.
And we 30K'd while scooping that one.
It's because that rock's not supposed to exist.
Probably.
They needed to rebalance you. That's insane.
I've never seen a combo tier 1 before. I never knew that was possible. I'd never come across that.
I don't think I've either, yeah.
So, like, I found the money rock, and
yeah, that's
it was the first rock I went to the surface and found, by the way.
Jeez. Streamer luck.
Streamer luck. Yeah, it was crazy. But let's jump into the roadmap stuff. Roadmaps are quiet. They've been quiet for 6 months plus, I would say. They are very slow and very incremental. What I want to ask you what you think about that. I love that. I love that's the way it is.
It's better because they haven't had to remove stuff, right? Like
exactly.
It's been a lot more consistent with what's come in. I think the only thing that's gotten removed from the roadmap in the last 2 years, was it hull? No, it wasn't hull stripping. Something got pushed a patch that was like committed. I don't remember what it was, but one thing got pushed. But yeah, no, it's been great here. Now, yeah, these are a little bit smaller, but I mean, even this week's was like pretty decent and interesting stuff. Though some of the stuff we already knew about, right? So like we've got the new derelict settlements. So these will be the ones that we saw at CitizenCon. I'm hoping they get the oil.
So first step, plug it in there. I'm gonna open up the app on my phone so I can get it ready. Start up the car. With the vehicle running now, I can connect via Bluetooth to my sensor, and I can scan and see what's going on. So as you guys can see, the fixed sensor is super easy to use, easy to understand. Download the app on your phone, connect to it via Bluetooth. It gives you better clarity on what's going on with your car when you need to know that.
This Black Friday, we'll be watching the sunrise and sipping on our favorite Mudwater blend. And we invite you to do the same. We think you'll love it, like these people do.
I feel better. I have more clarity. I love starting my day with this.
I'm sold. Mudwater is where it's at for me. Don't miss out and shop our biggest sale of the year now.
Rig in.
Was
The oil
the
rig
oil
looked really cool.
Was the oil rig in Stanton? It looked like it was on
Yes.
Hurston. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll likely be those ones because these guys have been making them pretty much non-stop, I think, since they started making the settlements last year. They've just been making more and more, what do you call it? More and more assets and stuff.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool. I do like the new Arena Commander maps, just in general. Some more FPS maps, kind of doing the similar thing to what they did with some of the races, where it's like, well, here is a location on Stanton that we're going to, actually design a bit more for FPS, and we're going to put that into Arena Commander.
I want to touch on that a little more before we move on. I mean, it being a settlement is like the first step to feeling theaters of war a little bit, I think. Settlements are much bigger, much more open.
Yep.
Do we have a single FPS Arena Commander mode that's really, really sniper friendly? No.
No.
So this will be one. This is, if you tie this into some of the stuff that we're seeing with improvements to the ground vehicle radar or whatever, right? I do want to talk to you quite a bit about that today too, as well. Just because I think that's a lot sneakier of a big deal than people think, and I want to hear what you think about it. But I just think like Bloodshot Ridge and this Maker's Point thing are, I'm not saying theaters of war, but it is that I think what the FPS modes need to feel more like playing in the PU. Like I love Gun Rush. I love playing the FPS modes. They're addictive. They're fun, but they are not as representative of the experience you would have in the PU, except for Security Post Korea. That's why I love that map. It's pretty representative of the experience there. But the I am so.
So I'm known for my Catalyst gameplay. Honestly, the profession is fantastic, but I have been feeling the need to play other specs because variety is the spice of life. The problem with me though is I love complexity. I need to feel intense gameplay, furious button mashing, and overall powerful damaging in my class or profession that I play. Then it hit me. I already have access to the most difficult elite specialization in the game. That's right, the Mechanist. What? Just kidding, I'm actually talking about the Weaver. I've given it an honest try, and I am loving it. And here is my why you need to give the most difficult spec in Guild Wars 2 an honest go. And as a disclaimer, I'm not an amazing pro at Guild Wars 2. I'm just a casual enjoyer of the game, and this is my experience. Also, I'm talking Weaver in kind of open world story focus, as that's where I've been really enjoying it. Alright, let's talk about playstyle. The overall playstyle of the Weaver is a fast melee combatant that overwhelms you by combining two elements at a time to strike with dual attacks and a mix of condition and power damage. Adding to that, their new utility skill stances give them a temporary benefit that is on a charged system, save for their elite Weave self. The main point of the Weaver is strong sustain and durability while bleeding and burning enemies into submission. Now, they don't provide any major group boons such as alacrity or quickness, but they are exceedingly good at what they can do, which is to be an absolute DPS blaster. They are incredibly versatile as a build choice and offer both power and condition focused builds, and have really a place in all endgame content, let's be serious. But they are complex and challenging, and could provide a bad time for those of you who are newer to the Elementalist or even new to the game.
Gonna have a bad time.
Because what makes the Weaver difficult... Alright, so story time. I played Catalyst basically since the release of End of Dragons, and I have absolutely no regrets. It is moderately complex in my opinion, with lots of buttons to mash, but I suppose that experience, it made it less daunting. Weaver, on the other hand, takes that to a brand new level. Splicing the elements between your two weapon choices makes for the moment-to-moment decision-making of the Elementalist, and cranks that bee into high gear. Not only do you have to have fast hands to jump to and from elements, you need to have some forethought about how to handle certain situations before they happen, more so than normal when you're playing the Elementalist. Also, with the sword, the new unlocked Weaver weapon, it literally thrusts you into melee. Forcing you to take melee damage and not really being as effective at range. Now, this is combated by the dual strike capability that gives you a barrier on use, however that is only a small barrier. Of course you can use other weapons, but who doesn't want to have an elemental sword? It's meant to be a flowing back and forth kind of gameplay, and realizing that not all skills are high on the importance scale, and let's be serious, when you see all those buttons you just want to press them. Which leads me to what you need to know to play the Weaver. So after putting some time in, I noticed the patterns of the Weaver and which abilities are the most important and what order I should be using them when I first swap attunements. Right out of the gate, anytime I swap into a new attunement, I utilize the dual attack, as that always has great profit, either damage or cool effect, what have you. Of course, running a condition damage build, usually staying within the earth and fire attunements work well, but occasionally I had to go to water for some healing or air for crowd control. But all in all, staying within these two provided me great success, honestly. Next, I realized that a number of the Weaver abilities actually have a cast time. And if you are spamming things too fast, you will interrupt them and absolutely make a mess of your damage. For example, the Sword Earth skill 2 burrows into the ground and then explodes out with force. I would be trying to move or press another ability while I was animating for that, and I wouldn't get the cast off. Terribly done. So I slowed down and made sure that the abilities went through. Then came the surviving bit. Remember I said you get a barrier? Well, a bunch of open world mobs don't give a flying if you have a barrier. I found fantastic success as sustain is concerned, utilizing the Celestial gear line as well as running.
So excited for this Bloodshot Ridge in particular, and Maker's Point, just because I think it'll take that FPS mode to the level I'd like to see it, and hopefully we start seeing those balancing elements that we would need. But yeah,
but also as a more sort of clear point of what you're saying specifically, like they say, Bloodshot Ridge, FPS modes and all flight modes, meaning this location has been designed with that in mind. So 100%, it is probably the case of we want to see what interaction between different levels of modes or whatever would look like in these locations. They look very cool. We have no idea what these look like. So we're gonna have to wait to see what they are. We don't even know where Bloodshot Ridge is, at least based on this. We know that Maker's Point is on Hurston. Cool. We're curious for that.
Might be,
but then the other
might be the one you're looking. That this might be the oil tanker or whatever. The oil.
Maker's Point. Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be a name, maybe.
Yeah. And then probably the more important thing for the Arena Commander updates is multi-crew. Yes. So Duncan was very excited to get this stuff in, and has been very excited ever since he's been working on AC and whatnot. But yeah, this is a massive deal because it is one huge detriment to Arena Commander is not being able to jump into your friend's ships, not being able to go and do a mission like the Vandal Swarms or whatever. Like you always have to essentially single fighter, and that's a bit boring. Now you'll actually be able to, hop into a Hammerhead or whatever. So we'll get a bit of an idea of what that's like, hopefully, pretty soon. But also the fact that they talk about that it also works in team tank battle also gets me excited. because it means we're going to be able to fully crew tanks, and that's, I think, I like the tank battle missions. I do think they're missing a little bit of stuff. I think it'd be a little bit more interesting to actually have like a bit of a full crew in there.
Yeah, and let's touch on that a little bit, and then I guess we'll let the producers know that we're ready for some calls for the first section here. Is the one thing I want to touch on in particular is around the tank stuff. Is they did the radar things with tank battle in mind, it seems like, but I don't think it's just tank battle in mind. The only way to make a ground vehicle viable in a game that has spaceships is to do what they're doing with the radar, I think, is to make the spaceships unable to see them, or not unable, but very difficult to
just
see
way
them.
stealthier, essentially,
Exactly, but they can see each other. And then I start, my mind starts going, and why I wanted to touch on it in this section is you see Bloodshot Ridge, you see Maker's Point, you see settlements. Settlements have tons of AI at them. They could have players at them, and you might, realistically, for once, use ground vehicles to take out these AI, because if they are punishing, I'd much rather have them shoot at a vehicle than shoot at my character, especially with a lot of the changes to the health and the injuries and all that stuff, right? So I would use those. Well, what am I going to use to take those out? Well, the only other way to take those out sounds like other vehicles, right? So now it just makes a lot of sense to bring those in, and I'm curious kind of, did that cross your mind? And, do we really think this is the beginning of ground vehicles actually having a purpose in the game? Like, I don't think that this was just to make tank battle more enjoyable. I think it's finally Arena Commander doing what Arena Commander said it would do, which is improve the PU.
All that tracks for the most part. I don't disagree with any of it. I do want to point out that there is a sort of additional point to be made about through monthly reports for the last couple of months, and in a couple of in one particular patch note as well, there's been lots of talk about NPCs in ground vehicles. And so maybe that's a little bit closer than we think, because I don't necessarily know why you would put a lot of that stuff in there if we aren't going to be fighting ground vehicles that aren't from players. It feels like a weird thing to prioritize otherwise, because there's so little player v player ground vehicle stuff in the game. So that'd be exciting. I can only hope for that. I mean, we'll have to, classic Star Citizen, we'll have to wait, but all of that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense on the current servers that we have, but then again, you were playing on 4 FPS servers and they seem to be acting correctly, so maybe that's not...
the AI were working,
Yeah, so that may not be as much of an issue anymore. So we'll see, but it should be something that would realistically be possible. Now, again, this was a test to see if people would come in and talk. We didn't have anybody pop in. So today might be a little bit different, where it might be just us for a little bit until we get on a topic that's spicy and people want to talk about. So yeah, we thought that it would go one way, but classic, it may not be the way how you think things go. Because every week we have people waiting in the green room, and this week was the first week that we closed it and brought people in. But yeah,
because everyone's sitting on the RSI website making sure that they're going to be able to get their javelins. That's why everyone's refreshing.
We also touched on the stuff that's like, it's the old stuff, right? We haven't touched on any of the new stuff. So you want to go into some of the new stuff? What is what's your most exciting thing that happened this week?
Because it kind of combines a couple of things. So we had the ISE about the new ships that we're getting in this first section of IAE, and then we've had 2 days of IAE. We're about to go into the third. The Sulin.
How do you pronounce it?
Sulin.
Soylent.
Soylent Green.
Yes.
This ship is so damn cool.
Yeah.
And not very expensive. It is very, very weird. We did a little channel point prediction thing, being like, hey, what does everyone think the price is going to be? Alien tax does not exist. It's finally confirmed, and I get to be so happy and prove people wrong. I've been trying to prove people wrong about this for ages. Confirmed.
Dude, I was about to pause the video to talk, like this was a react, so I paused it anyway, so I feel comfortable. But It sort of is an alien tax, but not really, because it's definitely not a starter ship. It's how much is the Nomad? It's cheaper than
80.
a Nomad, because
Yeah.
I guess they value cargo capabilities in price a lot more than they value speed.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, very much so. Which I would have thought they would have, like just based on how they've priced things previously. It always felt to me that it's like the weirder the ship is, and like if it's got completely different design language to anything else in the game, it always felt like it got a little bit more expensive. But obviously that wasn't the case here.
Yeah.
So pretty decent price point, especially for anyone who is looking to join during IAE and knows all the risks about Star Citizen and all that sort of stuff.
It's a AAA game price. It's
$72. You get the Sulan, you get an advanced starter. It's pretty good. Comes with triple Panthers as well, like decent firepower for a starter as well.
That's better than decent, dude. That's
has a bunch of size
very
2
good.
missiles, like so it pops off. But really, it's the design of it is insane. It's crazy to me. They put so much work into just a thing that we've completely never seen before.
What do you like the most about it?
There's one specific thing that I really love, which is if you use the light switch up the top, when you get into the cockpit, it changes the color of the panels.
Oh.
So it's got gamer RGB lights.
That's pretty funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay, I got it. And I got the concierge skin for it too, the brown one, because it looks sick. The reason I did, I melted for it. I didn't add any new money, by the way, just so people know. I refuse. There's no way I could add more money to this game. I've added enough. But the reason I did is the interiors of ships is what means the most to me. I love the Mole, not just because it's a mining ship, because the interior, it makes sense to me. I love the 100i as well for that reason. This was like the 100i on steroids, multiple levels. Just usability, functionality. It feels like this is a ship that, if it feels like a ship that you can live in and you only stop at a space station for fuel and oxygen and water, that's the kind of ship I want. So for a starter ship, this is the one for me. I made a statement though. It's time to revamp what a starter is after you come out and say this thing's a fucking starter.
Yeah.
I think it's time. We're doing the Zeus Mark II. It's time for the Aurora Mark II. It's time for the Mustang Alpha Mark II. Starter ships should be at the $70 price range, because this is a clearly not a $40 video game, right? It will never be. They're going to price it at these prices anyway. It should just be there. Give the ships that are at those values, and I want to see a bigger Aurora with a little internal thing similar to this, and just see what RSI would do with this, right? And so on. That's what this ship made me really feel, is the original starters need to go and need to be revamped into something new. And maybe if you backed originally for the original ones, you get the updated version. Maybe there can definitely be some debate around that, but I think it's time. I mean, look at this thing. It's ridiculous. They just keep doing better and better and better, and it's time to... Some of the stuff we went back on needs to be improved.
I don't know if I necessarily agree. I think there is a good reason to have what I would essentially call tutorial ships, which the Aurora, the Mustang, probably the Pisces fits into sort of that category, where it literally is just, this is the ship I'm using to learn the game, and that's it. I will be essentially getting rid of it as quickly as I can.
Sure, but why? Well, why when you can learn the game with this? You can learn the game with this.
Yeah, you could, but then you don't need to increase the price. You know what I mean? Like, I think these ships are the kind of ships that you are going to live in for a fair amount of time. In fact, you'll even probably, like, this ship in particular, the Sulan, feels like a daily driver. to me if I'm just doing random errands. And that's to me very different than what I think of when I think of an Aurora or a Mustang, which is literally tutorial ship.
Okay.
That I'm never going to use again.
I see where you're coming from, but let me make my argument a little bit different then. How I look at the game is the idea of a tutorial ship should just maybe be in the tutorial, and then you get your main ship or something like that. But the idea, I agree with you 100%. It feels like a daily driver, right? It's what you do.
Yeah.
You can do a little bit of this, a little bit of that with it. And then this ship is the ship that you daily drive, but when you want to do careers, you use career ships, and that's where you start getting more specialized. So ships like these, this isn't a Gladius, right? Because it has an interior and it can hold some cargo and things like that. So Gladius clearly isn't your daily driver. A Saber maybe, it might be for some people, but in terms of like, I could do a little bit of everything. That's how I see it. And then you go into your careers with those very expensive, big, specialized ships, whether you buy them in game or out of game, right? So that's just sort of how I looked at it. And I would love to see a daily. Do you not want to have a daily driver, Aurora? Come on. I want a daily driver.
Aurora.
Okay, fine.
Maybe not the Aurora, but like, I understand.
Yeah,
what you're
but
saying,
something, like more versions of this, but daily drivers like this of the companies that are out there in the verse. So that's what I want. I want to kind of just, all right, guys, those were very legacy. We scrap them and we bring up to.
EVE Online is a vast universe, alive with the
more daily drivers like this. That's what this ship made me feel. I haven't been excited for a ship in a really long time. This is one of them.
I guess a point sort of in your favor is this feels like such a great ship for a new player, and I feel like it's been that way with a lot of these sort of advanced starters for a while. Like, I don't know about you, but it's always been the case when someone's coming into the game and once again they know about the risks of Star Citizen. And they've been like, well, what ship should I start with? And a lot of people always say, well, look, if you want to spend the extra money, it's very much worth it to get like an Avenger Titan, and you'll enjoy your starting experience a lot more.
Now you
so
can
I guess
get this.
Oh, 100%. I'm going to recommend this to new people. There's one thing everyone's been like, oh, but like it's so weird to to launch and land and whatnot. Of course it is, because you've all been launching and landing on all the other ships a completely different way for the entire time. A new player, it's gonna be fine. They strafe down instead of forwards.
It's really not that bad. And it's super forgiving. I didn't take damage when landing like a little harder than expected. It was surprisingly forgiving. I didn't think it was that bad. I decoupled into Grimhex, bang, land. I slid all the way into the wall in the front, but I landed. It was pretty cool. So I like it personally. We got some callers who want to talk about new ships. So do you want to get into everything? I mean, the C1 I don't think is worth bringing up very much. We've talked about it.
It's
been in the PTU, right?
Yep.
And
the only other thing to talk about, is in 30 minutes we're going to get to see what the AA looks like and feels like. But we got to play in the PTU the regular Storm. They let us play that in the PTU this week.
Sure. I mean, you want to touch on it a little bit more, I guess, because we do. I mean, there was the ISC on it. We did see the AA, so we'll basically get to know paints, definitely how many missiles and price today. So that's what we'll learn. But we do know a bit about it. You're the tank guy.
I'm the tank guy.
In my mind, you're the tank guy. You introduced me to tank gameplay more than anybody. So you talk about this.
It's good fun. It's really fast, which I love, because it's supposed to feel that way. It's supposed to feel like a little bit of like a fast scout tank sort of thing. Its firepower is fine for the size of it is very wide, which is a detriment to it in a lot of aspects, but there's still not really enough reasons to use this in the PU for it to be a huge detriment.
Thoughts on the gun?
Yeah.
Can't point up. You like that or don't like that? I know some
I'm
people
okay
did
with
not
it.
like
go,
it. I'm also
so when
okay
you deploy it. When you deploy it, you can go 40 degrees up. That's mostly fine. If I feel like if you're in a situation where there's like a fighter and they're like, all right, cool, I'm just going to sit directly above you X amount of distance or whatever, you're probably losing the fight even if they didn't do that, honestly. And realistically,
that's what the AA is for as well.
Yeah, exactly. This ship doesn't feel like it is to kill fighters or anything. It feels like it's there to shoot other ground vehicles.
Exactly what we were talking about before. That's basically what I see this. And bro, they get in and it's hard to watch these ISCs sometimes because they make the devs be like car salesmen. You can even hear them, like they called Jared cringe one time, the one guy, and stuff. Like they're not exactly comfortable doing this stuff all the time, right? The one guy was like, "Can't I just say the C1?" Like he said, I think he's saying it, or no, he would have said it before. Can I just say the C1 is the A1 but with cargo? He's like, "Could you just leave me the fuck alone, please?"
I was genuinely thinking that they may actually just end it there and just leave that whole section like done because there's not much else to it. It's
if it was up to Jared, I think that's where it would have ended, to be honest with you. But
yeah, so it was cool. I think the cockpit, the getting swallowed by it, whatever, is fine. The actual cockpit itself, I really like the design of. But this vehicle is designed to be used when you're in the remote turret, so that you get the full sight.
Gotcha.
So all of that was really cool, and I liked it. It also the track system felt right. So like when you're on a Nova and you watch the tracks go around, they just feel wrong, or whether it's the animation or the responsiveness just didn't feel right. It felt really cool here and worked properly. So that was very fun too. And then so there's the other one. So the AA got officially announced in that ISC, and we'll be seeing a little bit of that later. But the big thing is it has a lot of missiles, so many. And this is going to be there to take down light fighters.
This looks like my Twitter feed that I'm constantly trying to get rid of. All I see is missiles flying all over the place in the last couple of years, right? So
not to mention that you'll notice if you pause when it shoots all those missiles, it's shooting 8 at a time. And it doesn't appear to be like rattlers or anything like that. It just appears to be straight up, here are 8 missiles.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that works, because 8 size 1 missiles, that's gonna get light fighters to either run away or you're just gonna take them out. So I think this one's actually gonna be kind of cool to see at Jumptown or Ghost Hollow.
Yep, for sure. The thing that drives me nuts about these is they still haven't really resolved missile issues where I am pressing my button and it's not going off. What is happening? I don't understand this. So, and then they come out with this thing and it's just going to be oh my God, this is going to be brutal. But in the end, it feels pretty brutal when a ship is nose downing you as well, right? So maybe this is a little bit of balance in that situation. So, and we'll find out more about that later. And outside that, SRV as well, which we've touched on plenty. Cool ship.
Yeah, they didn't talk about it during the ISC. But it's officially out now. Presumably, I guess they'll talk about it next week because we'll have Argo pop up.
That's my guess. Because
sort of in between now and then.
After this week's ISC, I was like, what's going to be next week's IAE? And I think it's pretty obvious now with some leaks / the SRV.
Official spoilers. We know that the RSI ship is coming from CIG.
I know, but I didn't know what it looked like, and I didn't know what the damn name of it was. And I'm just scrolling through YouTube, and I had to see it. It kind of pissed me off. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
I was really upset about that.
The nature of any sort of game development, doesn't matter if it's physical, online.
I know.
People will ruin your surprises.
Yep, no surprise for me. I don't want to talk about it today. We'll talk about it next week, but. It's kind of telling of what it might be. You want to go to some of our callers?
Yeah, let's get some people in here.
All right, cool. 5-star, what's up, man? Hello.
5-star, can you hear us?
Hello. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Howdy, how you doing?
Doing good. Just catching the show this morning. Been good so far.
Awesome. What do you want to talk about?
So yeah, I really like this discussion surrounding the starter ships. I went and got the Gatak Zuland, amazing ship, amazing functionality, you know, really cool, amazing. But it did get me thinking too about starter ships, and some of them have gotten some nice improvements. Mike, when's the last time you flew the Aurora?
Ooh, a while.
Yeah, they made some cool changes. They switched the ladder to like a step ladder. You could just walk in.
Yeah, I've seen that.
And, the bottom cargo thing can be detached and like swapped out with other Auroras, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they have given us some love. The Avenger got a Slim Jim on the bed.
I just want I want to see what RSI can do with like a little more internal space on that ship. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, you want something like the Titan, the Nomad, now the Sewellin, where it's a bit more of an actual live-in ship sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, too, a feeling I've had since the day I backed the game, I really don't think the Mustang should be a starter ship at this point, or at least switch it with the what's the one that has the interior?
The Beta?
Yeah, because like there's so many people that when they're getting into the game, they're like, which one should I pick? And everyone's like, don't pick the Mustang, you know? And it's just like, it's kind of like you're playing Pokemon Red and you pick a Charmander, you know? You struggle a bit in the beginning.
Charmander is bad?
No, well, the thing is Charmander turns really good in the end.
Good. I was about to say let's not.
Yeah. No, it just...
yeah, it makes sense.
It makes sense, but it also... I don't know. I sometimes tell people to go for the Alpha just because cool cockpit, decent firepower. I know it's not good, but it's still okay. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't shy people away from it, but I just prefer the Aurora. That's just my preference.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big thing to me is I think a starter ship should have an interior of some kind. Just because, like, a new player, they're going to want to go explore, you know? They're going to do a box mission at some point or try to put something on the ship and realize they can't. And it's always like a weird thing, you know? So, I mean, I like the Mustang, you know? It's a cool ship. But, yeah, I would always, you know, say, hey, Aurora is probably the better choice.
True. What do you think about the other stuff? The C1. I know. I mean, I watched a video of what you think about the C1, but like Storm and things like that.
Yeah, so the Storm, I actually have not tried the Storm, but the fact that it can fit in the Connie Phoenix was wild. It's the only one wide enough, which I didn't even know the Phoenix was the widest.
I just think with the changes that they're making, we're finally going to start to see people use ground vehicles.
Yes, I am so excited for the persistent hangars, man.
Not for the memes, you know, not just for fun, for actual.
Welcome to the most comprehensive